8 p.m. on Friday, 11th.
Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and the updates. We have different segments also from national to across the globe. Spot stories and weather update too. Correspondents will also be joining us with the latest inputs and the updates. So it's a power-packed 1 hour. My name is Abhishek Mahajan. First up, the headlines. India reports less than 1 lakh daily COVID cases. Active cases fall to 11.68 lakh. Recovery rate climbs to 94.77%. Number of vaccine doses administered crossed 24 crore mark. Union Health Secretary recommends states to prioritize second dose for frontline workers. Union Health Ministry debunks news of hacking of COVID. All the vaccination data is in safe and secure digital environment. Clarifies that no COVID data is shared with any entity outside the COVID environment. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds discussions with Foreign Minister of Kuwait, agrees to review progress with early meeting of Joint Commission. On the final day of his first state visit to Kuwait today, will hold high-level meetings and also address the Indian community in Kuwait. US President Joe Biden announces no strings-attached donation of 500 million doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to the world's poorest countries. G7 also expected to donate 1 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses to poorer countries. In sports, India's sport for ODI and T20I series against Sri Lanka announced. Shikhar Dhawan will captain the young side in the 3-match ODI series and the 3-match T20I series scheduled in July in Colombo. The biggest football extravaganza, Euro 2020, is all set to begin today. Will kick off a month full of high-octane soccer action for football fans across the globe. Soccer giants from Europe to compete for the trophy. So let's start with our national stories. COVID update first up. COVID updates from across the country. India reports less than 1 lakh daily COVID cases for 4th consecutive day. Active cases fall to 11.68 lakh. Recovery rate climbs to 94.77% and the number of vaccine doses administered crossed 24 crore mark. The states and the union territories were asked to sharpen their focus and prepare effective plans for expediting the second dose administration for the healthcare workers and also the frontline workers.
The steady decrease in fresh cases of COVID-19 continues. On Thursday, for the 3rd consecutive day, less than 1 lakh new cases were registered across the country. India has reported 94,052 daily new cases in the last 24 hours. Daily positivity rate stands at 4.69%. India's active caseload further declines to less than 12 lakh after 60 days. Recovery rate increases to 94.77%. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has exceeded 24 crores. 33,79,261 vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan chaired a high-level meeting with the states and UTs. The progress of vaccination was reviewed in the light of the revised guidelines for implementation of National COVID Vaccination Program and recent advisories. States were also informed of the modifications of CoWIN platform aimed to make it more effective as a back-end management tool for the countrywide vaccination drive. States and UTs were asked to sharpen their focus and prepare effective plans for expediting the second dose administration for the healthcare workers and frontline workers. The Secretary highlighted less than adequate private sector participation in the COVID vaccination drive in states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Assam, etc. States were alerted to the new features in CoWIN portal which were incorporated in light of the new vaccination guidelines. States were also informed of the vaccine utilization feature that allows editing and updating the vaccine utilization reports submitted by the vaccinators and that the CoWIN platform is now available in 12 languages. Meanwhile, Government of India reiterated its commitment to transparency in COVID-19 vaccination program via a real-time IT-based tracking of vaccine logistics up to beneficiaries through CoWIN. The aim is to share the information with the general public on a regular basis. It has asked states and UTs to obtain permission before sharing the EWIN data and analytics related to vaccine stocks and the temperature at which they are stored, solely to prevent any misuse of this data by various agencies for commercial purposes. The crucial information related to specific vaccine usage trends for multiple vaccines used in universal immunization program and temperature related data in respect to each such vaccine can be used to manipulate the market as well as associated research with respect to various vaccines and cold chain equipment. In Bihar, the State Health Department has amended the death toll due to coronavirus infection. After the amendment, the death toll from the epidemic in the state has now risen to 9,429. Delhi government has also cancelled exams for class 9th and 11th. Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that a countrywide campaign will be launched soon against the rumours and confusion regarding the ongoing vaccination in the country. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar inaugurated an oxygen plant set up at V.K. Patil Foundation Hospital in Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. It has a capacity of producing 500 litres of liquid medical oxygen per minute. The minister said that during the corona era, it became clear that even after 65 years of independence, hospitals did not have systems in place to produce oxygen. To correct this, Prime Minister approved the setting up of 1200 oxygen generation plants in various government hospitals across the country through PM CARES.
मुझे खुशी है महाराष्ट्र में विखे पाटिल फाउंडेशन का जो हॉस्पिटल है नगर में उन्होंने खुद एक प्लांट लगाया है जो प्रति मिनट 500 लीटर ऑक्सीजन देगा और ये एक अच्छी शुरुआत है। सभी निजी अस्पताल भी अपना अपना ऑक्सीजन प्लांट लगाएंगे और देश में ये मुझे विश्वास है कि ऐसा संकट फिर नहीं आएगा।
In Assam, Chief Minister Himant Biswa Sarma inaugurated a 300-bedded COVID care hospital in Guwahati, constructed in 20 days at a cost of rupees 21 crores 46 lakhs. The hospital was built with help from DRDO and handed over to the state government.
From today, with addition of 300 beds in this DRDO hospital, or in short Annexe Hospital of Guwahati Medical College, we will be able to expand COVID treatment to a large extent.
It will act as an annex to Guwahati Medical College and Hospital. Set up in an area of 3,200 square meters, the hospital has 200 beds in general ward with oxygen facility and 100 ICU beds. It also has an X-ray room, pharmacy, ultrasound and ECG room and laboratory. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the central government and the chairman of the Empower Group on Vaccination Administration, Dr. R.S. Sharma, has debunked the media reports of hacking of CoWIN application. Allaying fears, the chairman said that CoWIN application stores all vaccination data in a safe and secure digital environment. He also clarified that no CoWIN data has been shared with any entity outside the CoWIN environment. Mohali-based startup Walnut Medical has developed 5L and 10L portable medical grade oxygen concentrators based on the pressure swing absorption. The technology is called PSA in India. Here is more in this report from our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya.
Oxygen saturation levels of patients have been a major challenge in the treatment of COVID-19, especially in the second wave. Indian medical device manufacturers and indigenous automation companies took up this challenge and came up with innovative designs of ventilators, portable respiratory aids and related devices. An indigenously developed oxygen concentrator which ensures high purity oxygen supply is now out in the market. An Indian startup has developed and designed this affordable portable oxygen concentrator and is now manufacturing it for supply to various hospitals in the country. Mohali-based Walnut Medical has developed a 5-litre and 10-litre portable medical grade oxygen concentrator based on pressure swing absorption technology in India with an oxygen purity of above 96%.
Walnut Medical got a government grant to design, develop and manufacture oxygen concentrators in India. Over the last 1.5 years, our team has worked towards building an indigenous product. We are in the second month of production for the 5-liter and 10-liter oxygen concentrator, which is truly designed, developed and manufactured in India by our team.
The company was supported by Kavach 2020 grant of the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board under the Department of Science and Technology, and they developed the world-class oxygen concentrator in a year to reduce dependence on imports. It is tested for patient safety, electrical safety, electromagnetic compatibility, and as per international safety standards for oxygen concentrators.
Our product delivers 96% purity for the oxygen that comes out at the highest flow rates. So we are as per international standards, and the system is totally safe for patients to use. It is tested as per international electrical and patient safety standards.
Pressure swing absorption technology separates single gases from a gas mixture. Department of Science and Technology's support helped them push their endeavor forward with 5-liter and 10-liter models and invest in quality molds to compete against products from Japan, USA and China. IIT Delhi incubation team worked with them to help the technology see the light of the day. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
Right now, Tapas Bhattacharya joins us on the phone line for more on how this breakthrough can be beneficial in the fight against COVID-19. Tapas, good morning. We have understood from the report that what PSA technology is that the Indian startup has used, but what are the different features of this oxygen concentrator and how this concentrator is different from the other concentrators?
Well, there are few things that are quite important. The first and the foremost is that this uses medical grade oxygen medical grade oxygen concentration, and based on the pressure swing absorption technology, which is which gives an purity of over 96%. And it's and what I've been told is that it is basically non-oil in nature. What it means is that it has a the shell life of this particular machine is quite a lot in comparison to the one that is coming from somewhere from outside. If you take a close look at the oxygen concentrators coming from China or being manufactured in China, this particular oxygen concentrator is not just reliable, but it also has many features, especially showcasing the SpO2 level, and also it is quite in terms of its product, it's quite sturdy. In terms of cost benefit, it ranges from 50 to 60,000. So
okay.
If we take a close look at the oxygen concentrators that are at par or at using the same technology coming from outside the country, it is very in terms of the price, it's quite cheap. And coming from the fact that has been this has been given a grant by the Department of Science and Technology under the Kavach 2020 grant of National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. It develops a short time, in a very short period of time, it develops this oxygen concentrators, and it has the potential, if you take a close look at it, it will reduce our dependence on oxygen concentrators, and not just oxygen concentrators. There are many oxygen concentrators which are there in the market, but it also reduces the what you call the dependence on the below par oxygen concentrators, and being manufactured in the country, the number of the price is definitely a consideration in a country like India, where if you're taking a close look at many of the concentrators available in the market,
right,
you will find that most of the concentrators go somewhere in the region of over and above 60 to 70,000, and this has been a problem And in the second wave, where oxygen has been an issue with many of the people, this has the potential, if it is in a way that this has the potential to change the whole gamut of in the fight against COVID-19. So in that sense, all the electronic parts, all the control system, everything has been is a made in India concept. So it also gave a flip to the Atmanirbhar Bharat project that the government has been talking about.
We got your point, Tapas, that this is made at a very short period of time and this is very, very effective also. But talking about the overall COVID situation, Tapas, in India, the cases have been declining below 1 lakh cases. This was the 4th consecutive day. Positivity rate has also gone down. Recovery rate has been increasing, which is a very, very good news. And the process of unlocking has also started in some states, be it Maharashtra, 18 districts of Maharashtra, and in the national capital also. But this is a very, very crucial time. People themselves need to be very, very careful, especially in malls, markets, and in metros also, which are super spreaders.
Yeah, if you take a close look at, in the road, since the time the unlock process started, there is, people are a little careful, but the executive or the people who are on the ground who are, enforcing these, measures, they also need to be more vigilant in the fact that most of the people who are going out, either not wearing the mask properly or somewhere down the line believe that it has because of the number of cases being reduced, they don't need to follow the protocol and the behavior that have been quite vehemently been put forward. So these are certain things that we have seen even in the second wave. Once the numbers earlier when the numbers were less, people actually left most of the COVID behavior protocol. That is something that needs to be checked. Even in metros, even in not just metros, even in e-rickshaws, which provides the last mile connectivity, in markets especially, where we have seen from January and February that all the protocols or the behaviors that we've been talking about have been left aside. So this time around, the authorities need to be more vigilant. They need to be absolutely careful about that.
Right, we need to be very, very careful and we cannot lower our guard at this crucial time. Thank you, Tapas, for giving us your vital inputs. In view of the anticipated resurgence of the COVID-19 cases in near future, Director AIIMS, Delhi, Dr. Randeep Guleria spoke extensively on COVID solution templates, challenges ahead. Dr. Guleria underlined that the virus is constantly mutating and there is still uncertainty about how much vaccines can protect against the new emerging variants. He added that there is need to be extremely cautious. He was speaking on our special COVID series, Doctor's Chat with Sakal Bhatt of DD News.
What is the possibility of these new variants emerging as the time goes and as we have more and more vaccines as a protection and not cure?
So new variants will continue to emerge. Let's look at the virus and understand this. We will have variants which will emerge. It's been said that the virus mutates twice every month. Some of these mutations are not of any significance. They are just of variants of interest. But we are concerned about variants of concern which can, like I said, cause more infection, more severe disease, or decrease the efficacy of the vaccine. That is why we need to continue to monitor the virus and develop strategies based on how the virus is changing. We should change and develop strategies as the virus changes. The virus will continue to change. So what we decide today may not be really relevant tomorrow. We will have to change our strategy tomorrow.
Finally, Dr. Guleria, how does your COVID solution template, when we talk about decoding pandemic, since we are talking about vaccination and third wave, sir, anticipated third wave, main pointers in that, your list?
So my pointers of what we should do would be, first of all, we need to continue to have very aggressive surveillance. We need to focus on our testing, tracking, treating policy very aggressively. Not only testing and picking up positive cases, but also testing them with genome sequencing in sufficient numbers to pick up any new variants which develop. We should have, based on that surveillance, we should be able to develop containment zone so that we don't allow any spike which happens to spread to other parts of the country. So quickly sort of snub it out there, don't allow it to spread, and do that. Thirdly, we need to develop strategies of aggressive vaccination, try and vaccinate as many people as we can. And of course, aggressively push for COVID appropriate behavior, because that will spread and break the chain of transmission. So if we do all of this, followed by finally, of course, ramping up our health infrastructure so that we have enough capacity to take care of any increase in number of cases which happen. If we do this, I think we should be able to manage subsequent surges if they do occur.
Right, and also responding to a question on the probability of COVID-19 impacting children in forthcoming resurgence, if any, Dr. Guleria clarified there is no evidence to suggest that the next wave of COVID-19 will cause serious infections in children, aligning that 60–70% of kids who were hospitalized had comorbidities, while most others had mild disease and recovered at home.
You can't shut down the country, you can't shut down the schools unprecedentedly. Now, having said that, there is a lot of buzz about third wave affecting children, but I want to ask you, and you've spoken and written extensively about it, Dr. Guleria. I want to ask you, is there any scientific evidence globally or domestically, if we have some sort of empirical evidence, that this is actually going to first affect our kids, because host naturally has the tendency, the virus naturally has the tendency to look for the new host?
So there is no scientific basis to say that COVID children will now have more severe disease. Let's look at it from the point of view of what we've seen in the first wave, the second wave, and what we're seeing across the world. What we're seeing is that children have a mild disease globally, and even we saw that in the first and second wave, that they do get COVID infection. It's not that they are protected from COVID. They will get COVID infection, but they, because of the fact that they have less what we call ACE receptors in the lungs, in the upper airways, the virus is not able to multiply that much in children, and therefore they don't get that severe a disease. That's why it seems that although children may be a susceptible population and they may get COVID subsequently, they will not get severe disease, and we will not have that type of a problem. And that is why the focus still is on protecting the high risk group, which is elderly and those with comorbidities, and we still should focus aggressively on vaccinating them first. The data from the second wave and from the first wave clearly shows that the mortality was highest in the older age group and those with comorbidity.
Right, you can catch the full conversation today evening on DD News at 6 p.m. and DD India at 8:30 p.m. And now, the COVID update. India's active case load further declines to 11,21,671, a net decrease of 46,281 inactive cases in the last 24 hours, less than 1 lakh cases for the fourth consecutive day. India reports 91,702 new cases in the last 24 hours. 2,77,90,073 total recoveries across the country so far, and 1,34,580 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. Recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 29th consecutive day, and recovery rate has increased to 94.93%. And if you talk about the weekly positivity rate, it is currently at 5.14%. Recovery rate increases to 94.93%. This is the weekly positivity rate, which is currently at 5.14%. And the daily positivity rate now at 4.49%, less than 10% for 18 consecutive days. And this is the testing capacity substantially ramped up, with total 37.42 crore tests conducted. And also 24.6 crore vaccine doses administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Moving on, Jharkhand government has cancelled board exams for class 10th and 12th for this session. In a tweet, Chief Minister of the state, Hemant Soren, said 10th and 12th board exams have been cancelled in view of the circumstances arising out of COVID-19 and the demand of students and the parents. Jharkhand government has also extended the restrictions till June 17th with some relaxation. There will be, however, complete lockdown on every Saturday from 4 p.m. to Monday at 6 a.m. State government has put several restrictions or mini lockdown in the name of Health Safety Week since April 22nd. All shops are being allowed to open till 4 p.m. in all the districts except East Singhbhum. Karnataka now. Karnataka government has decided to ease COVID-19 restrictions in the state. The state government took the decision after the recommendations in a meeting held on Wednesday. The new relaxations will come into force from 6 a.m. of 14th June. However, there is no change in guidelines for districts with high positivity rate, including Chikmagalur, Shivamoga, Davangere, Mysuru, Chamarajanagra, Hassan, Dakshina Kannada, Bengaluru Rural, Mandya, Belagavi and Kodagu. These districts will continue to remain under strict restrictions. Further, under new guidelines, the government has permitted all industries to operate with 50% of the staff, although government factories can only operate with 30% of employees. Relaxations have also been provided to shops of essential goods. Now, essential items shops can open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. All construction activities are allowed to start. All shops pertaining to construction activities like cement and steel are allowed to open. Parks will be open to public from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. Street vendors will be allowed to carry out their business from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Only 2 passengers will be allowed to travel in autos and the taxis. COVID-19 curfew will be imposed from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Weekend curfew will be enforced from Friday 7 p.m. to Monday 5 a.m. In Jammu and Kashmir, about 25 houses were gutted in a devastating fire, rendering more than 35 families shelterless at Noorbagh Sheikh Colony in North Kashmir, including SSP Baramulla, reached the spot along with the rescue teams. Fire tenders were rushed from other areas as well, and it took more than 3 hours to bring the fire under control. The Border Security Force under South Bengal Frontier has arrested a wanted criminal and Chinese national in the area of responsibility of the border outpost Malik Sultanpur in West Bengal. The intruder Han Hunwei was trying to cross the Indo-Bangladesh international boundary illegally. After arresting the infiltrator, he was brought to the border outpost Mohadipur for questioning, and during the interrogation, the Chinese intruder revealed he is a resident of Hubei, China. He also revealed that he has come to India 4 times earlier. The force has also seized 1 laptop, 2 iPhones, 5 money transaction machines, Mastercards and currencies of India, China and also Bangladesh. Moving further, online nominations or recommendations for Padma Awards to be announced on Republic Day 2022. To continue, the last date for registration of nominations for Padma Awards is September 15th. Online registrations can only be made through the portal padmaawards.gov.in. The Padma Awards include Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri, and the details regarding the awards are available on the portal of Ministry of Home Affairs. Right, from our national segment now, let's move on to our next segment, which is news from across the globe. G7 first, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the G7 outreach sessions on June 12th and 13th virtually at the invitation of UK PM Boris Johnson. The summit will see exchange of views on the way forward on global recovery from the pandemic with a focus on health and the climate change.
The invitation of UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will participate in the outreach sessions of the G7 summit on 12th and 13th June in virtual format. UK currently holds the presidency of the G7 and has invited India along with Australia, Republic of Korea and South Africa as guest countries for the G7 summit. The meeting will be held in hybrid mode. The theme for this summit is Build Back Better, and the UK has outlined 4 priority areas for its presidency. These are leading the global recovery from coronavirus while strengthening resilience against future pandemics, promoting future prosperity by championing free and fair trade, tackling climate change and preserving the planet's biodiversity, and championing shared values and open societies.
Right now, External Affairs Minister's visit to Kuwait. Dr. S. Jaishankar held discussions with his Kuwait counterpart, Dr. Ahmed Nasser Mohammed Al Sabah. In a series of tweets, Dr. S. Jaishankar welcomed the openness to address the issues of Indian community in Kuwait. He said he valued Kuwait foreign minister's assessments and insights on the regional issues. Dr. Jaishankar also witnessed the signing of an MOU that will give Indian workers greater legal protection. He also launched the celebration of 60th anniversary of India-Kuwait ties. He is on a 3-day visit to Kuwait. Right, my colleague Abhishek Jha joins us to give us more information on this. Good morning, Abhishek. This is his last day of visit to Kuwait. He'll hold high-level meetings today and also address the Indian community in Kuwait. What all can we expect?
So with all this engagement that External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will be having today, it is actually in a direction to strengthen the people-to-people connect that both the country have had in the past. The history has said that how Kuwaiti economic development has been a lot of dependent on the Indian workers, Indian labor force there. And of course, Kuwait has been one of the key suppliers of petrochemicals to India. So this is been the traditional trade-off between India and Kuwait. But with the changing times, India needs a strong friend, ally, and partner in that region of Gulf for its maritime security, for its strategic interests, and also for other security reasons to address those concerns. So now the thing is that both these countries wants to have their own ties diversified into different areas. Also, almost 20 to 25% of Kuwaiti population is from India. So that also tells a lot about how much Indian people-to-people connect with the societal norms and societal style of Kuwaiti is essential, and how nicely Indian people have been able to gel in the society of Kuwait and being a partner and living in a way that they are in a home away from home. So this whole concept needs to be underlined, and probably this will be one of the key area of address that External Affairs Minister will be addressing the Indian people living in Kuwait today.
Right. Also, Abhishek, you talked about people-to-people connect. And as far as COVID is concerned, India had sent a medical team to Kuwait to render medical assistance. We all know, and we also got a help from them in the month of April. Much needed help from Kuwait. So India and Kuwait, in a way, they share a very, very strong partnership. And this visit, you think, will further enhance the cooperation between the two countries?
Of course, Abhishek, and the thing is that so far in the traditional trade-off that as we talked, it has always been Kuwaiti supplying petrochemicals and crude to India, and Indian labor forces going there working for the economic development of Kuwait and other Gulf nations also. But with changing times, we have seen how strong relations and friendly approach to each other have failed in dealing with this once-in-a-life pandemic. In first wave, India sent not only medical teams, drugs and special medicine and all those care and variable aspect of medical practitioners that were necessary to deal with the COVID patient that were sent in the first wave. In the second wave, when India was in dire need of oxygen, Kuwaiti came very handy, and they continue to supply. Even now when we are talking, oxygen supplies from Kuwait is still continuing. Apart from these, timely interventions to deal with such a pandemic, now we know that Kuwait and other Gulf nations, they are also sitting on a stockpile of cash. And with the future of oil and petrochemicals not as long as it was earlier understood to be, they are trying to invest in various other field of economy so that their country's future and economic future can be secured. India as an emerging economy, where it means a lot of investment in terms of FDI, in terms of greenfield investment or brownfield investment, whatever we say. We need a lot of money to continue the momentum of our growth, and in such a scenario, both the nation can have a win-win proposition where Kuwaiti money can come to India, and they can have a secure and safe return, assured return for their investment. while India will also benefit from the money that it currently needs for as a tool to continue the momentum of growth in various sector of economy. So this can be another reason of interest where both the country would like to talk and continue their strong relationship.
Absolutely, Abhishek. Nicely, you have explained the broader perspective, and Dr. S. Jaishankar also welcomed the openness to address the issues of the Indian community in Kuwait. Thank you, Abhishek, for bringing us those vital inputs. Thank you. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson met with US President Joe Biden on Thursday in the English seaside resort of Carbis Bay ahead of the G7 summit that begins today. Biden's meeting with Johnson is a chance to renew the US-British special relationship after Britain's Brexit break from the European Union. The two countries will issue an updated joint statement of principles between the two countries in honor of the original Atlantic Charter from 1941. The UK is Biden's first trip abroad since taking his office. After 3 days of G7 summit, Biden and his wife Jill will visit Queen Elizabeth at Windsor Castle. The 78-year-old Biden met the Queen back in 1982 when he was a US Senator from Delaware. G7 now, and as the leaders of the G7 begin to arrive at the southwestern tip of the UK, their likeness have also appeared on the side of the Cornish coast in trash. Artists Joe Rush and Alex Wreckage created the sculpture nicknamed Mount Recycle More of the leaders of the G7 out of electronic waste to highlight the huge amount of tech and gadgets that goes unrecycled globally each year. They are hoping the sculpture will encourage the 7 heads of state to work together to tackle the issue internationally. And according to the UN, the 53 million tons of electronic waste generated globally each year will be more than double by 2050, making it the fastest growing waste stream in the world. US President Joe Biden on Wednesday said the United States was not seeking conflict with Russia but would respond in a robust and a meaningful way if the Russian government engaged in harmful activities.
I'll travel to Geneva to sit down with the man I've spent time with before, President Vladimir Putin. We're not seeking conflict with Russia. We want a stable, predictable relationship. Our two nations share incredible responsibilities, and among them, ensuring strategic stability and upholding arms control agreements. I take that responsibility seriously. But I've been clear, the United States will respond in a robust and meaningful way when the Russian government engages in harmful activities.
And while speaking at the start of an 8-day visit to Europe that will include a NATO summit and a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Biden said he would underscore Washington's rock-solid commitment to the transatlantic alliance. His summit with Russia's Putin on June 16 in Geneva is the capstone of the trip, an opportunity to raise US concerns directly with Putin about ransomware attacks emanating from Russia, Moscow's aggression against Ukraine, and a host of other issues. Right, from US to France now, the court ordered a man who slapped French President Emmanuel Macron across the face this week to serve 4 months in jail. Damien Tarel, an unemployed who is 28 years old, fan of medieval swordsmanship, who said he's a right-wing sympathizer, attacked Macron when the French president was shaking hands with members of the public during a walkabout on Tuesday. China passed a law on Thursday to counter foreign sanctions as it tries to resist US and EU pressure over trade, technology, Hong Kong and Xinjiang. Individuals or entities involved in making or implementing discriminatory measures against Chinese citizens or entities could be put on an anti-sanctions list by a relevant department in the Chinese government. Those on the list may be denied entry into China or be expelled from China. Their assets within China may be seized or frozen, and they could be restricted from doing business with entities or people within China. Several countries experienced a celestial phenomena on Thursday as they witnessed a solar eclipse lighting up the skies in the northern hemisphere. Solar eclipse painted the sky red in New Jersey. You can see the visuals here. And parts of Canada also witnessed a partial solar eclipse early Thursday morning. You can see the moon gradually appeared to cover a large part of the sun, leaving only a crescent-shaped area of light that was visible in the dark sky. So these are the visuals from the Canada. A ring of fire or annular solar eclipse where the moon moves entirely over the sun but does not block out its light, leaving a thin ring of brilliance. So solar eclipses occur when the moon moves across the face of the sun and blocks out some or all of the light emanating from it. Fantastic visuals there. Now let's take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The virus has infected more than 17.56 crore people across the world, while the number of recoveries stand above 15.91 crore. COVID-19 has claimed over 37.88 lakh lives globally, and the US continues to be the worst affected from the disease with more than 3.42 crore cases. The number of fatalities in the US has crossed 6.13 lakh. US President Joe Biden said on Thursday that a donation of 500 million doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to the world's poorest countries would supercharge the battle with the virus and comes with no strings attached. So speaking ahead of a G7 summit, Biden thanked other leaders for recognizing their responsibility to vaccinate the world. He said the vaccine donations don't include pressure for favors or potential concessions, and that he cast the donation as a bold move that showed America recognize its responsibility to the world and to its own citizens. Washington is also taking steps to support local production of COVID-19 vaccines in other countries, including through its Quad initiative with Japan, India and Australia. More international news. The World Health Organization on Thursday urged Europeans to travel responsibly during the summer holiday season. The WHO has warned the continent was by no means out of danger in the battle against COVID, despite a steady decline of infection rates in recent weeks. Over the last 2 months, new COVID-19 cases, deaths and hospitalizations have declined, prompting 36 out of 53 countries in the region to start easing restrictions. WHO has said that countries should learn from the resurgence in cases seen over the summer last year, even as vaccinations are being rolled out across the region.
We should all recognize the progress made across most countries in the region. We must also acknowledge that we are by no means out of danger. With increasing social gatherings, greater population mobility, and large festivals and sports tournaments taking place in the coming days and weeks, WHO Europe calls for caution.
And British Health Minister Matt Hancock said that there needs to be a fully independent investigation into the origins of COVID-19 that is allowed to take place without interference in China. He said reform was needed of worldwide systems to investigate other diseases in the future. And the British Health Minister made the comments at a parliamentary committee hearing on lessons learned by the UK since the outset of the pandemic. He also said the Delta variant made up 91% of the new cases in the UK. Germany now. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said on Thursday that a recent improvement in the number of coronavirus cases in Germany was pleasing, but warned that the pandemic was not over and the risk from the Delta variant in Britain was worrying. Merkel said that Germany is in a race against the virus with vaccinations and that every day with low detectability of the Delta strain is a good day. Meanwhile, Germany has 2.5% of its corona cases like the Delta strain. Right, from the news across the globe, let's move on to our next segment, which is Web News Review. Right, so my colleague Amritpal joins us for this segment, Web News Review. Good morning, Amritpal. Over to you.
Good morning, Abhishek. Well, most newspapers have led with the news about COVID. The Hindustan Times has printed a report which says indiscriminate vaccination can lead to rise of mutant strains, experts tell Prime Minister. Now, a group of public health experts comprising of doctors from AIIMS in Delhi and members of the COVID-19 Special Task Force of the government have submitted a report to the Prime Minister which says that indiscriminate vaccination could lead to rise of mutant strains. The paper quotes the PTI for that, for this report. The study also highlights that there is no need to vaccinate those who have been infected by COVID-19 previously, and said that the vaccine of such individuals should be done after generating evidence that vaccine is beneficial after natural infection. Also, the report says that it's vaccinating the entire young population, given the current scenario, will not be cost effective. It says, the report says that experts also recommended that local level sero surveys in real time should be conducted at the end of the second wave to map the vulnerability at the district level. It remains to be seen how much of the recommendations, how many recommendations, or how much part of the recommendations the government adopts from this panel's report. But they've cited some really revolutionary steps to as far as the vaccination program is concerned. If we go on to the next newspaper, which is the Times of India, it has a report which says COVID-19 deaths in second wave crossed 2 lakh at daily average of over 2,000. Now, the official death toll in India's devastating second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic has crossed 2 lakh, which means that the fatalities recorded since March this year account for nearly 3 out of every 5 deaths. If the total number of deaths since the pandemic started in early 2020 are taken. India has reported more than 2.05 lakh deaths according to government data since March 1, and which translates to an average of about 2,000 deaths every day. So, you know, the report says that the fatalities in the second wave are nearly 57% of all COVID deaths in the country. The cumulative death toll, as you know, stands at 3,63,029. The next newspaper which I've chosen in the press review this morning is the Hindustan Times, which says UK to donate 100 million COVID-19 vaccine doses, Boris Johnson. Now, Boris Johnson announced ahead of the G7 summit that his country will provide 100 million doses by the end of the next year. 5 million will be given by the end of September, beginning in the coming weeks, and the rest of the 95 million doses over the next year, 25 million will be donated by the end of this year. Out of the 100 million that he's pledged, 80 million, he says, shall be given through the COVAX global vaccine sharing program. The remainder, 20 million, will be given through bilateral agreements with countries who are in need. Remember, the US has also pledged about 500 million doses to be purchased from Moderna and Pfizer, and said that they will give it to 92 low-income and middle-income group countries for their vaccination. It's expected that by the end of the G7, about 1 billion doses could be pledged by these 7 most developed countries in the world to be distributed to countries, especially the African Union and other countries who are in need of these vaccines. The next paper that I've chosen, Abhishek, is the Times of India, which says Joe Biden, Boris Johnson strike a warm tone in the first meeting. Contrary to expectations and shadows of Brexit and Northern Ireland looming large on the G7 summit, ahead of the summit, when President Biden arrived, Boris Johnson seems to have struck a warm chord with him, highlighting that the countries wish to strengthen their nation's historic ties, setting aside, at least publicly, their political and personal differences. Remember, Biden in the past has accused Johnson of being a clone of Donald Trump and things like that, and the countries also don't see eye to eye on various issues, but at least that's the message they were trying to give through a warm bonhomie that they're ready to rekindle the relationship. They call it a special relationship. Now, the other story that the Hindustan Times has printed, it says Kulbhushan Jadhav can now appeal against conviction as Pakistan passes bill. Pakistan's National Assembly or their lower house passed a bill allowing Kulbhushan Jadhav of approaching the High Court of the country against his conviction. This bill is being called the International Court of Justice Review and Reconsideration Bill, because remember the ICJ had in 2018 Pakistan to stay Kulbhushan's execution and go in for review and reconsideration. So given that the government of Pakistan had passed earlier an ordinance which has now been brought about as a bill which the lower house has passed and will come into effect immediately. Abhishek, so that's what made it to the newspapers and web opens this morning. Back to you.
Right, Amritpal, we could see all important stories and news you cover. Thank you for the web news review segment. Now, move on to our next segment, which is Sports Track. Cricket first up in this segment. Shikhar Dhawan will captain India on a 6-match white ball tour of Sri Lanka in July, that is next month. Indian Cricket Board said pacer Bhuvneshwar Kumar will be the vice captain of the 20-member squad. The All India Senior Selection Committee picked the squad for 3 ODIs and 3 T20I series to be played between July 13th and 25. Tennis now. In the French Open tennis, Russia's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova has stormed into the women's singles final, beating Slovenia's Tamara Zidansek 7-5, 6-3. She will face Barbora Krejcikova of the Czech Republic in the finals, who defeated Maria Sakkari in the last 4 match yesterday. The final will be played tomorrow, that is Saturday. And in the men's singles also, Rafael Nadal will face top seed Novak Djokovic today in the semi-finals. Football now, often called mini FIFA World Cup, the Euro Cup is all set to amaze football fans across the world from today. For the first match of the championship, Italy and Turkey will be taking on each other at Olimpico Stadium in Rome, and the tournament will go on for a full month, in which 24 teams from Europe will face each other to become the champion of 2021, and the tournament was delayed for a year due to COVID-19.
One of the biggest football extravaganza is set to unroll in Europe from Friday. After a long drought of action, fans will finally get to see professional football action on the ground. The Euro Cup, known as European Championship, is all set to begin from 11th of June. For the next 1 month, European football giants including Spain, England, France, Croatia will be competing for the coveted trophy. The Euro Cup was first organized in the year 1960 and since then is played after every 4 years. But this time it is different. It is for the first time that Euro Cup is being hosted together by 11 countries. A total of 24 teams are participating in this month-long championship tournament. Teams have been divided into 6 groups comprising 4 teams each. Germany and Spain have won the cup 3 times each, which is the highest number of wins for a single country. Quarter-finals will be played from 2nd of July. Semi-finals will be played on 7th and 8th of July. Finals will be played on 11th of July at London's Wembley Stadium. Only 10 teams have been able to win the previous 15 editions of the European Championship. While Germany and Spain have won the title 3 times, France has taken home the cup twice. The tournament was scheduled to be played after 2020 but was delayed by a year due to COVID pandemic. Sports Desk, DD India.
So exciting 1 month coming up in football. Now let's take a look at today's weather forecast. Fairly widespread to widespread rainfall activity with isolated to scattered heavy to very heavy falls, very likely over parts of East India and adjoining Central India from today. Isolated extremely falls also very likely over Odisha on 11th and 12th, over Chhattisgarh during 11th and 13th, over East Madhya Pradesh on 13th, over Vidarbha on 12th and 13th June, and conditions are favourable for further advance of southwest monsoon into some parts of Gujarat Madhya Pradesh, remaining parts of Chhattisgarh and Odisha, entire West Bengal and Jharkhand, and some parts of Bihar and East Uttar Pradesh, and remaining parts of North Bay of Bengal during the next 24 hours. Now let's have a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures in different cities. Well, that's all we have in this news bulletin, but before we go, it's a reminder to wear a face mask before you step out of the house. Unlocking might have started in some states, but it's very, very important to take extra care now. Follow the government guidelines with regards to adhering to COVID appropriate behavior. And to end the breakfast show, we'll leave you with the glimpses of miniature artist Miguel Hoda from Havana, Cuba. Take a look